All right, good evening, everyone. Call this July 27th meeting of the Township of Ocean Planning Board to order. Nicole, can you take our roll call, please?
Here. Here.
Here.
Here.
Here.
Here.
Here.
Here.
Here.
Here. Please rise for salute to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. The notice requirements of the open public meeting law for this meeting have been satisfied. A copy of the notice having been sent to the Asbury Park Press and the Coaster and filed in the office of the Township Clerk. Emergency notice, there are emergency exits through the back over there, and then right up here to your left, which is our right. No smoking, please. No vaping. No new cases will be started after 10 p.m. No new testimony taken after 10:30 p.m. In addition, the applicant will be limited to 45 minutes of testimony. All meetings will be video and audio taped and shown on the Township of Ocean's community cable channel, channel 77 on FiOS, and is it 77 on Cablevision? We need to check that. Okay, both 77. Amazing. All cell phones, please turn them off. If you have to make a call, please exit the room and take your call outside. First, we have resolutions for adoption. We have them in groups based on who can vote on them. So first off, we have 238 Highwood LLC, which is 238 Highwood Block Route 25, Highwood Road, Block 25, Lot 128 in the R4 zone. We have Ralph Cohen, 251 Howard Avenue, Block 9, Lot 52. James Goat, 716 Corleys Avenue, Block 76.01, Lot 2. And it's also 720 Corleys Avenue. Then Abraham and Margaret Moseri, 491 South Edgemere Drive, Block 76, Lot 2, which was a denial. Do I have someone to offer?
So, who can vote is Mr. DeGennaro, Mr. Duomo, Mr. Chamora, Ms. Littman, and Chairman Foley.
I'll offer.
I'll second.
Mr. DeGennaro?
Yes.
Mr. Duomo?
Yes.
Mr. Chamora?
Yes.
Ms. Littman?
Yes.
Chairman Foley.
Yes. Then we have Rising Treetops, 111 Monmouth Road, Block 17, Lot 1 in the R4 zone.
I'll offer.
Okay.
Second.
It's here.
Mr. DeFilia?
Yes.
Chairman Foley?
Yes.
Mr. DeGennaro?
Yes.
Vice Chairman Foley?
Yes.
Mr. Duomo?
Yes.
Mr. Chamora?
Yes.
And Ms. Littman?
Yes.
Then we have Bank of America, Route 35 southbound, Sunset Avenue and Valley Road, Block 187, Lots 1, 10.01 and 5 in the C3 zone.
And I was here for that. I'll offer
Alright.
again.
I'll second.
Mr. DeFilia?
Yes.
Mr. DeGennaro?
Yes.
Vice Chairman Foley?
Yes.
Mr. Duomo?
Yes.
Mr. Chamora?
Yes.
Ms. Littman?
Yes.
And Chairman Foley.
Yes. Okay, planning board minutes. Mr. DeFilia was here for all of these, just so you know. June 23rd, 2025, July 28th, 2025, October 27th. Oh, sorry, we should just do June 23rd, 2025.
So either Mr. DeFilia or Mr. Dawson.
I'll make that motion.
And then Mr. DeFilia?
Yes.
Mr. Dawson.
Yes.
Okay, July 28th, 2025, and October 27th, 2025.
Mr. DeFilia, Vice Chairman Foley, and Mr. Dawson.
I'll make that motion. I'll second it.
Mr. DeFilia?
Yes.
Vice Chairman Foley?
Yes.
Mr. Dawson?
Yes.
August 25th, 2025, September 29th, 2025.
Mr. DeFilia, Vice Chairman Foley, Mr. Manal, Mr. Dawson.
I'll make the motion. I'll second.
Mr. DeFilia?
Yes.
Vice Chairman Foley?
Yes.
Mr. Manal?
Yes.
Mr. Dawson.
Yes.
December 29th, 2025.
Mr. DeFilia, Mr. Manal, Mr. Dawson.
I'll make the motion. And I'll second.
Mr. DeFilia?
Yes.
Mr. Manal?
Yes.
Mr. Dawson.
Yes.
Okay, Board of Adjustment minutes. We always would come second, wouldn't we? June 28th, 2025. No, sorry, June 18th, 2025.
I'll offer.
I'll second.
Mr. DeGenaro?
Yes.
Ms. Lippman?
Yes.
July 17th, 2025.
Mr. DeGenaro, Mr. DeLumo, Mr. Fitzgerald, Mr. Chimora, Ms. Lippman?
I will offer again.
Second.
Mr. DeGenaro?
Yep.
Mr. DeLumo?
Yes.
Mr. Fitzgerald? And Mr. Chimora?
Yes.
Ms. Lippman?
Yes.
September 29th, 2025.
Mr. DeGenaro, Chairman Fuller, and Mr. DeLumo?
I will offer again.
Second.
Mr. DeGenaro?
Yes.
Chairman Fuller?
Yes.
Mr. DeLumo?
Yes.
Okay. Next up, cases that are going to be carried this evening. Township of Ocean, 1313 South Roller Road, also known as Block 142, Lot 36, on the Township tax map in the I-1 zone. Request to be carried to Thursday, August 20th, 2026, without further notice. Do we have any objections to that? All right, hearing none. If you're here for the application for the Township of Ocean 1313 South Roller Road, that will not be heard this evening. That'll be carried to Thursday, August 20th, 2026, without further notice. It'll take place in this room at this time. Abraham Benatar, 517 Laurel Avenue, Block 68, Lot 6, in the R5 zone. Request to be carried to the Thursday, August 20th, 2026 meeting without further notice. Do we have any comments on that?
Do we want to renotice that one?
Yeah, I think we want
And I think it's been carried so many times.
How many times has it been carried? Do you have it off the top of your head?
Close to 4.
4 times?
Yes.
That's a
Okay.
renotice.
Okay, all in favor of requiring renoticing?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. So, if you're here for the Abraham Benatar 517 Laurel Avenue hearing, that's going to be carried to Thursday, August 20th, 2026. There will be a notice going out, but it will be heard on August 20th in this room at this time. Bioinvestment Group LLC, 702-706 West Park Avenue, Block 33.13, lots 28, 30, and 31 in the T1 zone, and 12 Klein Street, Block 33.13, Lot 5 in the R4 zone. Requesting to be carried to Thursday, August 20th.
I believe that should be renoticed as well.
Anyone else?
Agree.
Okay. All in favor for requiring the renotice?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, hearing none. This Bioinvestment Group LLC, which is on 702-706 West Park Avenue, will not be heard this evening. It's going to be heard August 20th in this room at this time. There will be new notice going out. Finally, Albert Mayman, 255 Delaware Avenue, Block 25, Lot 107 in the R4 zone. That is going to be carried to August 20th, 2026 due to defective noticing. Does that mean that the notices have gone out or there will be new ones going out? Not within the required 10 days. So,
The notice went out and he didn't publish within the prior 10 days. So he noticed to all of his neighbors that he would be here tonight, but then he thought he could do the publication the next day and couldn't get it in or not.
okay. So are they proposing to renotice?
They're asking to not renotice because they just noticed last month. He's going to republish. He's going to publish, but asking to not have to renotice the neighbors.
Okay. Is anyone here for 255 Delaware Avenue? Does anyone object? This is the first time it's carrying to the 20th of August without renotice? Okay. So 255 Delaware Avenue, Block 25 in the Lot 107 in the R4 zone will be carried to August 20th, 2026. The meeting will take place in this room at this time. There will not be further notice. Okay. On to Orchard Plaza redevelopment plan. Anthony, John, where did we leave off?
So, Mr. Chairman, we're at the point where this board, having had the opportunity to fully review the development plan, can take action by voting on whether or not, and it's a straightforward, whether or not it's consistent with the master plan or not consistent. If you find that it's consistent, that's the vote. We will memorialize that in a resolution. If you find there are inconsistencies, then you can make recommendations, which would be included in the resolution, i.e. the report, back to the Township Council, advising them as to the inconsistencies you found and how you think they could be rectified. Also, as a catch-all, the board has the authority to address any other matters that it believes are pertinent.
Okay, so I guess we could discuss whether or not, after our review of the redevelopment plan, if we, how we feel about it. We had the ability to ask questions at the prior meeting. We had the ability to make comments at the prior meeting. There may be folks here that are here to discuss this. I think we can give some leeway and offer you the opportunity to make some comments if you so wish. Before we do that, I think I just wanted to highlight, for the most part, I see this, I don't know, I maybe talked to one of you, but for the most part, the redevelopment plan does follow the master plan, at least the goals of the master plan. Obviously, there are deviations, but that's kind of how redevelopment plans go. There's one thing that I would highlight, and that would be the height allowances. I think the benefits of this strong board being in place now, a joint board, this plan is going to come back to us, whether it would go to a zoning board in the past or the planning board in the past. The site plan is going to have to come back to this board for review, and I think we should take full advantage of that instead of allowing just a blanket 6 stories. Again, obviously there was some conditions placed on that, but I think it would be great for us to hold that responsibility to be able to look at the actual plan before making a decision on how wise it is to go to the 6 stories in certain circumstances. So what I would say is to allow for 4 stories, 48 feet, where up to 6 stories or 70 feet may be approved by the planning board upon a demonstration of enhanced architectural design, massing mitigation, and community benefit. I think it's a good opportunity to protect ourselves, protect the interest of the general public by keeping that final okay sometime in the future when we get to actually see what we're looking at. Anybody else have any comments at this time? We could open up to the public.
Mr. Chairman, I just have one more thing to add. Thinking long and hard on this in terms of transportation and the goals of the master plan involving redevelopment and circulation. I think this plan is consistent if the transportation elements surrounding circulation are included. As written, it's in good faith argument that they will attempt to do that, but I'm not sure that it would work without it. I mean, there's a reason that the shopping plaza is empty today, and a lot of it has to do with circulation. So, my thought is that it is consistent with a recommendation to the board, to the council, that it be contingent on the circulation being as described in the
That's a
best
very good
case
point.
scenario.
Yeah. I think some of us may be envisioning that all this would have to take place in order for all this stuff to happen. And so to make that clearer, I think could be a very good idea. And I think we get buy-in from our local elected officials to help make those things happen with the state, with the county.
Are you saying you want to see the transportation plan before we move forward?
No,
Or-
I'm saying that it would be that I think it's consistent with the master plan, contingent on the installation of the extra traffic elements, that actually happening, not just maybe that would be nice, that has to happen for it to be
Right,
consistent.
I agree. I say eliminating that word that they inserted.
So Frank, we want to make sure that a big building doesn't come before us and say, well, we tried to get a traffic light and we tried to get all this access, but they said no. And so now this is what it is, and you guys already said okay to all these other elements, right? Is that a fair restatement? Okay.
Yeah.
Any other comments at this time? We could open up for the public.
I would also like to suggest that we maintain the impervious coverage as it currently exists and does not get increased. I think increasing the impervious coverage goes against what the town's trying to do right now, which is lower impervious coverage in specific zones.
So
I
the
think they're
site
looking
is,
for 80%, and
Yeah.
I think the site is zoned for 75%.
But I think the current coverage is exceeding that.
But why not? Why are we not trying to make things better versus keeping it the way it is?
Especially in light of all the flooding. Why not just pull it back?
I think I misunderstood you, Anthony, to maintain existing conditions?
No, maintain the required it's zoned for 75% right now. That's
So-
what's allowed.
Yeah. Okay. So maintain the actual ordinance that's in place.
Ordinance
Not what's
that's
there.
Not what's
existing.
there.
Good. Then I agree with that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry, I apologize.
And so if they were to come up with a plan and they needed 78%,
They would need to
80%,
come to us with
then,
variance.
I mean, and that's gonna be coming to us anyway.
Yeah, right.
They'd have to figure out how to cut those,
3%.
no, 3%.
Okay, anybody have any other suggestions or comments right now? I feel like it's good to say some of these things out loud, if members on the public want to make comments, they could at least understand what we're thinking already.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with the height restrictions that you suggested too. I think that's a great idea. I mean, approving 6 stories or 7 stories is not something we should do right now.
Are there things you're thinking that would, or that come to mind for you that would allow them to make it 6 stories? Or,
Yeah, I mean, I could totally imagine a situation where something on a 6th floor could be fantastic for the town. I definitely wouldn't want to take it off the table, but I feel like that
Understood.
it's good to be able to see what it is before we say, okay,
thank you.
maybe a killer restaurant, you
I'm thinking a pool,
know, maybe a pool.
bar, right, okay,
Yeah.
things to
Who
bring
knows?
in traffic.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to tie anybody's hands, and I don't want to tie our hands, right?
Fair, thank you, Mr. Chairman.
So do any members of the public, would they like to make comments on this redevelopment plan? Can I see a show of hands, how many folks would we like to make comments? Just 1, 2? Sure. Yeah.
You don't want me to lose that one? Oh. Thank you. Do I have a time limit?
You don't have a time limit, but I do recognize you already made comments at the last meeting, so I. But since we don't have that many people looking to talk tonight,
Do I need to raise my hand?
Well, good morning, ma'am. Can you state your name?
Good morning.
I mean, good evening, ma'am. Can you state your name and spell for the record?
Alex Hayes, ALIXHAYES.
And you reside in the township of Ocean?
I do. Thank you.
I can swear you in. Do you swear the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, so help you God?
Yes. Let me just get my notes. Sorry, it's not going this way. I have a number of questions, so I'm going to try to mentally squish them down so I don't ask as many as I would like to. I do want to state on record that there were 9 minutes that were approved at the start of this meeting, and at least 3 of those dealt with the Orchard Plaza development. And this town has not been privy to a lot of what the planning board and the Board of Adjustment has been doing over the last year because minutes have not been made public, which by law are required. And it has taken over 365 days for some minutes dealing with this exact topic that many in this room might have liked to have known about more than me posting on a social media page the plans. This has been public for some time, but nobody knew about it because there were no minutes. And some videos were also not up when you exactly discussed Orchard Plaza. So that's a huge disappointment, but I'm glad to see some minutes got approved tonight, even after 14 months or more. Someone brought up online that this area sustained some of the worst flooding that we've ever seen. You know, the July 4th flooding. Highway 35 was 3 feet underwater. You know, BJ's roof, we all know, collapsed. This is literally in that space between West Park and Deal where you are considering adding 6 stories and 330 plus apartments. In the Coaster article, it was mentioned that approving this would help solve the town's stormwater drainage. So I'm just curious how this exact project could help the town's stormwater drainage, as was positioned in the Coaster article. Oh, is this like the school board where I just ask questions and nobody
So
answers
this
me?
is people making comments on the application at this point. It's not even an application; it's the redevelopment plan. So if you question whether or not it will, so that I think you can just make that comment. The people that were here that were talking about it, they did that last month. Or
My case in point, nobody knew that meeting last week was even happening. So since Topology was here and I asked some questions and I posted online, there's been tons more questions. In my opinion, it's clear that this does not meet the master plan. If you all are eligible to deny exemptions, they're asking for 70 feet. It's 45 feet if I'm not correct. If I'm correct, Mr. Higgins, for commercial, it's 45.
Plan doesn't address height.
So if it doesn't address height, then I don't understand how you all are tasked with trying to have a limit on height when you're supposed to see if this plan aligns with the master plan. They don't seem congruous.
Respectfully, the board's role in this matter with respect to this development is just reviewing what the township council has passed and determining whether or not it's consistent or not consistent with the master plan. They're not making any rulings that are substantive as to whether or not this will ultimately pass. They're only giving their recommendations as to whether it's consistent or not consistent to the township council. Ultimately, it's the township council that will determine whether or not to move forward with it.
But as you discussed earlier, this board can say they want things changed in the redevelopment plan that was proposed, and they can make amendments. You said that at the start of this meeting.
They can make proposed amendments that the township council does not need to accept or adopt. They can reject them.
Of course, and as I stated in the last meeting, the township council has never in 5 years changed anything that you all put forth. So if you put forth a cap on 45 feet, 60 feet, 4 stories, 50 feet, the township council has never gone against what the planning and board of adjustment has proffered up. I'll keep going, I guess.
Never gone against or never agreed with?
Never gone against. Like, so whatever the planning board and the board of adjustment has put forth to the town council in the 7 years or so that I've been paying attention to meetings, I have never seen the council say, well, we got the answer from the planning board and we're going to tweak this one part because we don't like what the planning board said. So in my opinion, you all have the authority to place some limitations via amendments, like you said. Is that the correct word?
No, again, words matter. This board cannot put any sort of limitations on the township council. The township council has full autonomy and authority to reject any proposed amendments or comments made by the board.
I get it. But they can propose amendments.
Yes, but you keep
I get
saying
it.
that they can adopt them.
Propose. Sorry. So my secondary questions will be at the town council meeting at the next chance. Sorry. I'm going to my traffic thing. I don't understand, as a taxpayer, somebody who lives within those two streets between West Park and Deal, I don't understand how you cannot put in a mandatory traffic study. Like you guys were just talking about, let's make sure if they come with an actual development plan, why can't they make an amendment to force a traffic study now before you all vote on this? Like, why are you not seeing the impact from the police, what a traffic study would mean for 700, 1,000 more cars every day? Why is that
Is there a
not
chance
part?
that the site plan comes to us without a traffic study with it? Okay.
This application would require a traffic study. That's part of the site plan checklist.
Wow. Okay. Hold on 1 second. I'm curious if there are going to be any pilot considerations for the developer. Taxpayers in Ocean Township have made it clear that they don't like pilot agreements. So, is there any way that can be part of the amendment, that any future redevelopment will not include a pilot arrangement, and that is payment in lieu of taxes? Okay, I guess you guys aren't answering me. I'd like to know if this development plan has been revised, more than one version. The public has only seen drawings, renderings from what I posted, on Ocean Township News and Events. I'm wondering if there were several reiterations that you all have had in your possession since at least May of 2025 that everybody, I'm sorry, not everybody, the planning board folks who are now part of this land use board. I'd like to know how many reiterations of this you all have been privy to. Let's see. There were over 600 comments on social media. I hope some of you saw some of them. And I hope that's why some people are here tonight. I think it goes without question that had I or somebody, I don't care who it was, did not post the plans that the township council and the planning board has known about for other meetings, but was never made public because minutes weren't up, some YouTube videos weren't up. Did you all read some of the 600 comments from residents? Did you all get emails from residents? And are you taking those concerns into consideration?
I don't think we're allowed to get emails.
Well, your emails aren't public, even though you're a public board.
Yeah, no, I think, I'm not sure we can get lobbied on things. Can we?
No, and again, I mean, I hate to beat a dead horse, but this board is here to determine whether or not this plan is consistent with the master plan. The redevelopment plan is consistent. They're not making any substantive determinations whatsoever. And your questions, respectfully, are delving into, you're requesting substantive information that's probably more appropriate for a different body. And you know what body that is.
What is the height restrictions in the master plan for commercial versus residential versus mixed use?
There are no discussion in the master plan about building.
So you would want the ordinances.
So if there are no restrictions on
There are-
building height, and this is asking for up to 70 feet,
The master plan is a broad-based planning document. It is not an ordinance. The zoning ordinance has specific height recommendations, and that's left up to the governing body when they adopt the zoning ordinance. The master plan does not get into that.
I have a follow-up question for the attorney. If the town council pushed this through to the planning board and gave 45 days for the planning board to do an investigation and come back with their approval or their decision on this redevelopment plan, there was one planning board meeting that was canceled because there was not a quorum, which means what, 5 people couldn't agree to come to that one. So you all never had a chance to meet when members of you all were part of the planning board. So why does the town council not have to send this to the land use board for a 45-day review?
Because it was already submitted.
To the planning board. This is not the planning board.
Understood. But it is the successor board to the planning board. These members have now had this plan. They've had the opportunity to review it. And again, I have to reiterate, they're only looking at it for consistency or inconsistency with the master plan. They're not making any substantive determination. They are not saying this is a good plan. They're not saying this is a bad plan. All they are saying is it consistent with the master plan? And if it's not, they could very well find that. I'm not here to advocate one way or the other. If it's not, we will draft a resolution, send it back to Township Council and say, these are the items of your redevelopment plan that are not consistent with the master plan, and these are our suggestions for how they should be revised.
And Anthony, I would take a small issue with what you said, because you said we're not going to be making substantive decisions, but I think the recommendation that we do not go to 6 stories automatically, you go to 4 only, which is the current set, the current allowance, and it has to come back to us to go to higher. I think that's substantive. I think if we require the transportation circulation stuff to actually be in the plan, I think that's pretty substantive. If we roll back even beyond, lower than 80% impervious coverage to 75, I think we're making some substantive changes here.
And I
And
agree.
it's not a rubber stamp either way.
Yeah, and my verbiage is probably
Yep.
incorrect on that point because
No, I know what you're saying, but
Point
at
is
the same time,
ultimately
I don't want
council.
somebody to misinterpret it
Yeah.
to think that we're not actually doing anything
Yeah.
right now, because
No,
we are
absolutely.
making changes that I think are important.
Ms. Hayes, can I make a recommendation?
Mhm.
If, I know you have many concerns and you want them all heard, and I understand you want them all heard. I think your best approach right now would be to enumerate them. Just go through them like a list, so we can list them out. Everyone will hear your concerns, because the way you're doing it now, you're asking for responses which we can't give. It would be so much more helpful if you could list your concerns so we know what they are.
I thought I was being a little clear with that. I thought the town, in their outrage online, was being clear. I don't think the town has stormwater drainage capabilities for a project of this nature. I think even 75% impervious cover is way too much. You're asking for a lake in between West Park and Deal in a huge flash flooding alert.
Can I say something?
Mhm.
Right now, you probably have 90% coverage there. So you're going down
Maybe
to
say 100.
75. Not to mention the stormwater management regulations are much stricter now than when the building was built.
Mhm.
So that's how it's going to improve. I'm not a licensed engineer, but I'm an engineer. And I do know that the regulations are much stricter now than where they were when the building was built. And I mean, I defer to Mr. Matlock what he thinks too, but whatever gets built there is going to improve the drainage. Is it going to solve the problem? No, it's not going to solve the problem. Is it going to help? It's going to help because it's increasing the amount of flow that you're getting in that area.
Without studies, I respectfully disagree that it's going to help. I can't imagine that an
You
apartment
do.
complex with 330. I can't imagine.
Do you
correct.
disagree that the regulations aren't stricter now than when they were built? Do you know that?
No, I don't know
Okay.
that. But you could also
Mr.
make it
Matlack,
45%.
Mr. Matlack, the engineer,
Mhm.
are they more strict now than when the building was built? Yes. I mean, okay, so you can disagree all you want, but these are facts.
But you could also make it 60%, couldn't you? You could make it 45% if you
Oh.
chose to
We-
tear up the parking lot and
It makes
put
it-
grass,
I'm not gonna argue with you. I'm not gonna say it.
right?
We can't make it anything. We can only recommend that the council suggests that.
I know you guys are you're at a difficult precipice because I get what the attorney's trying to say and I get what you all are trying to say, that you can't make the council do anything. But how you respond to this is how council is going to approve or not approve it, because they've never changed it. I'm kind of at an impasse. I feel like my voice shouldn't be the only one, and that's I'm hoping some other people might feel the need to come up. I think my final, I guess, comment is going to be that Topology has worked with this property developer before. Topology last week at this meeting said, we don't know who the developer is going to be. They could come up with some kind of a whatchamacallit, a architect's rendering, for example. I think town people are worried that if you do not put stricter restrictions, like the Mr. Fuller, those 3 or so that you even talked about, that some developer is going to come in and do, where's the picture? You know, the 6 stories with the 4 and then the 6. I can only implore you all to not only do what's in the master plan, which you think how it, I guess, aligns with the master plan, but how the town folk, the residents, the taxpayers want to see this property developed. Because I'll remind you that the town has been in complete and utter silence in this whole process. I guess that's it. Thanks.
Thank you. Anyone else like to make some comments?
Good evening.
Could you state out your name and spell it for the record?
Rob, Acerra,
And where do you reside?
Oakhurst.
And before you begin, I just want to let you know that for the record, you're appearing tonight as a member of the public. Is that correct?
Sure.
And the board will note that your comments are being received in your individual capacity,
Sure.
not on behalf of the Township Council.
Sure.
And your testimony will be considered by the board on the same basis as any other member of the public.
Sure.
No greater or lesser weight.
Sure.
With that, you may proceed after I swear you.
Sure.
Raise your right hand. You swear or affirm that you tell that your testimony will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
You may proceed.
Thank you. Just a couple of questions on process. I respect what the planning board has to do tonight. I understand that they need to make the determination whether or not this current application substantially meets the master plan.
Let me get the correct verbiage.
Thank you.
It's simply consistent or inconsistent with the master plan.
Okay.
There's no qualifier.
Got it. Thank you. So I'm good with that. I get it. And I don't know if everybody does understand that. What I'm more curious about is what happens next. So after the planning board approves or doesn't, it either comes back to the council or, well, it comes back either way with a approval or a disapproval, if you will. What's the next step?
No, so there's no approval or disapproval. They
Consistent or
They
inconsistent?
render a report, which is essentially it's a resolution in practice, telling the council, is it consistent or not consistent?
Correct.
If it's not consistent, then they get to explain what the inconsistencies are, and they give recommendations as to how to make it consistent.
Correct. Okay. Then what?
And then it goes back to the Township Council, and the Township Council has the opportunity to either adopt the recommendations, reject it, or abstain and not take it into account.
Then what?
And then the Township Council is ultimately the legislative body, which will determine whether or not this gets passed.
What gets passed?
The redevelopment plan.
Then what? Let's assume we pass let's assume the council passes the redevelopment plan. Then what?
Then it gets memorialized by Township Council as law of the township.
Then what? I'm serious. I'd like to understand the process. So now that the redevelopment plan has been approved, what's the next step?
Then, it becomes the ordinance, and then you will have entities bidding to be able to contract upon the site.
Okay, and that process, then the planning board would then hear those applications from.
I see. Okay, yeah.
Thank you. I'm sorry. I don't wanted to get you
You
through
gotta help
that
him here.
piece.
Come on.
I wanted to get him through that piece to understand it. Okay.
Lead 'em, Rob.
If you know the answer, come on.
I wasn't
let's go.
sure because honestly, at the last meeting, I heard 3 different answers from 3 different professionals. So that's why I'm asking.
Yeah, once a developer is selected, the developer will have to come back for site plan.
Site plan. Okay. So traffic studies, normal application process.
Correct.
I'm done. Thank you so much. Have a great night.
Hello,
Hello. Could you state your name and spell your name for the record?
it's Grace Ann Tallarico, GraceAnnTallarico,
And where do you reside, Ms. Tallarico?
in Wayside.
And I'm going to give you the same spiel that I just gave. Before you begin, for the record, you're appearing tonight as a member of the public. Is that correct?
Yes.
All right, and the board will note that your comments are being received in your individual capacity, not on behalf of the Township Council, and your testimony will be considered by the board on the same basis as any other member of the public.
I understand.
All right, and no greater or lesser weight. With that, you can raise your right hand and I'll swear you in. You swear affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
You may proceed, Ms. Tallarico.
Thank you. I just have one question, actually, because I had other questions, but they were answered by other people. My question, because I'm newer to the council, the master plan versus ordinances. So, I understand the ordinances for the height is 45 feet. But for the master plan, it's more broad. So you're saying it can be however tall that the applicant is wishing to get approved? And who approves that?
Okay, the master plan is not an ordinance.
No, I understand that.
Board-based recommendations, so when somebody comes in with an application, they have to comply with the ordinance.
Okay.
Unless it's a use variance, they don't have to comply with the master plan.
But according to this application, it's asking for, what is that, 25 more feet.
Whether it's inconsistent with the master plan. And there's nothing in the master plan that talks about height. So it can't be inconsistent with the master plan if the master plan doesn't describe the height.
And I understand that, but why would it not be looked up for an inconsistency with the ordinance, since the ordinance is the law?
It has nothing to do with the ordinance. It's the master plan.
So who would approve the height then? Would they give recommendations, this board?
The body would approve it when they look at the redevelopment plan and approve the redevelopment.
Okay, so if the planning board, land use board here tonight comes back with a recommendation, and I want to thank you all for your comments, and they're actually very good recommendations, so I do want to appreciate and let you know that I appreciate that. But again, to go back to this master plan versus ordinances, I mean, I think that as the public and residents and myself, right, I would like to know, why wouldn't we bring the ordinances into this and say, hey, this is our ordinance right now, 45 feet. So why are we looking at 70 feet, and what would be the recommendation?
Because the master plan doesn't talk about height.
Hey Jim, if I could, can I ask your question slightly differently? It might
Yes,
be a better
please,
answer.
because you understand what I'm
Seems like
saying.
the question is more, what is up with a redevelopment plan, and why are there suggestions that impact ordinances
Correct.
in that?
Yes.
Okay, can you explain that a little bit more, like what the redevelopment plan is, when you use it, and all those types of things?
The
Because this is a
redevelopment plan
place in need of
is a
redevelopment.
very specific plan for a site, or a number of sites, depending on how large the redevelopment area is. And when that is adopted, that becomes part of the zoning ordinance.
For that specific spot.
And the state municipal land use law requires that the zoning ordinance be consistent with the master plan unless a supermajority of the council votes to adopt an ordinance that's not consistent.
So that's super important, though, I would think, right? That's super important, what you're saying.
Well, yeah, that's why it's
That is-
like this.
But the master plan, again, does not talk about building heights. So the height could be 20 feet or 200 feet, and it wouldn't be inconsistent with the master plan because it's not dealt with in the master plan.
Okay. So this is good for information for all of us, though, because
The one specific thing in the master plan that talks about this site and this area, and I think it's important for everybody to understand that. Let me just find it in here because I have the master plan on my computer. Is getting there. Here we go. It is recommended that consideration be given to modifying the existing C2 zone between Deal Road and West Park Avenue to allow mixed commercial and residential uses with the ultimate goal of creating a walkable mixed-use area.
okay.
That's one specific recommendation, which this redevelopment plan is geared towards implementing that aspect of the master plan. There are some general, as Ed talked about, there are some general purposes in the master plan that talk about making sure that the transportation routes, that the streets can handle the traffic, that type of thing, which is why you would have a traffic study being done.
Okay. So I think it's super important, though, to recognize that there's a difference, though, between the master plan and the existing ordinances. So when it comes back to council and we hear, well, the professionals on the planning board recommended, that it's in accordance with the master plan, it may not be in accordance with the ordinances. So that's super important, though, for me, because I'm new, and I recognize that there is a big difference between being in accordance with the master plan versus being in accordance with the ordinances. So I do implore you to recommend, what you are recommending, because I think it's super important.
And historically, redevelopment plans very frequently are very different than the zoning. That's the underlying zoning for that redevelopment area, but it doesn't necessarily have to be.
Right. And when it comes back, the recommendation, if it's in accordance with the master plan, it doesn't mean that 6 stories is what this board agreed to. It's just that it's in accordance with the master plan.
Recommendations to the governing body.
Yeah.
The governing body is not bound by those recommendations.
Good to know. Thank you very much. And thank you all. I appreciate it.
Can we just, Jim, I have a question for you, just as a follow-up to put a bow on this, to a point you just made, that the redevelopment plans are frequently different from the underlying zoning. Why?
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 Because I can't give you a specific answer. I give you my.
So here's what I understand it to be, and you can tell me if I'm on the ball or not. My understanding is that the reason we're doing redevelopment is because the underlying zoning means that the economic viability of the site in question is no longer feasible. Giving the zoning in place, we need better zoning to make it workable again.
Basically, you need better zoning to make it workable again. Economically viable, probably. That has to be an element, but all land development has to be economically viable. So, but basically, the redevelopment plans can be, are normally, not normally, but frequently different than the underlying zoning, significantly different, because the underlying zoning isn't working. It clearly isn't working. If the area is dilapidated or an area in need of redevelopment, and there's a reason for that, and it's usually because the underlying zoning isn't working for that area.
Thank you.
Any more comments from the public? Going once, going twice. Okay, we'll close the public hearing from part of this. Does anybody have any other comments from members of the board? Professionals, do you have anything? Okay, so if I kept score correctly, let's just do a quick straw poll. Number one was the height, keeping it at 4 stories, 48 feet, allowing up to 6 stories, 70 feet upon planning board approval. Basically making whatever developer takes us over earn more stories beyond 4. Do we have general agreement to that?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
The next one was transportation plan. How would you describe that again?
I would say the recommended changes regarding an intersection on 35 in connection to other streets in the area be a requirement, not a good faith effort.
How does that differ
You
from
could
the
word it
traffic
shall
study?
be instead of, I
Shall-
mean, legally you would say shall be, and that
But
ties
how does
you
that
in.
differ from a traffic study?
Traffic's wholly unrelated. Traffic study they're gonna have to do anyways, but this is saying that if they can't put a light on there, then it's
You're looking for a specific light and traffic
certain
improvements.
Yes, traffic improvements to effectuate the circulation goals of the master plan.
Does it have to require a light, or could it require there's a feeder street in the rear, I know that, is being considered?
I don't want to hamstring any actions taken too much, but personally, I think that if they can't get to 35, that I don't think it's going to work.
Okay.
But I could be wrong.
So they can't get to
If they can't get to 35 north and south,
oh, north and
from there, sorry, then it's not going to work.
Correct, I agree.
Okay. And then the impervious coverage. Currently, it's 100%, I believe, is what the plan says.
80%.
Yeah. No, the existing condition, I think the plan says 100 or practically 100, whatever, or essentially whatever word used. The plan says 80%. The suggestion is to go down to 75%.
I think that was
Is that what the? Can we get clarification? Do you happen to know what the?
Yeah, the existing zoning doesn't have an impervious coverage requirement. What it does have says that 75% of the area of the site that, or I'm sorry, 25% of the area of the site that does not have environmental restrictions such as wetlands, floodplains, and so on. 25% of the balance of the site has to be landscaped. So it'll be 75% of the balance of the site. I don't know if there are any environmental constraints on this site.
Just gonna ask you that, are there any?
So it would be then 75% of the site could be impervious.
All right, so Mr. DeGennaro, your suggestion is we go to that standard?
Why don't we drop it to 70 because they're gonna push no matter what.
So, I mean, what I'm just referring to is, in section F, number 7, it says impervious coverage, maximum 80%. I was suggesting we take that down to 75, but if we want to go to 70, I'd be even more in favor of it, frankly.
Make it 70, and then that perhaps gives wiggle room if they want to increase it 2 or 3%. If you start at 75, they're just going to keep pushing the envelope and push that ceiling.
Yes, sir.
Just for members of the public, the audio recording is picking up everyone chattering in the back, and it's hard to hear the board. So if we could just refrain from chatter for now, just so the board, we can actually hear these comments when it's live,
Yeah.
please. Sorry.
Okay.
I mean, again, these are recommendations, right?
That's true. Okay. Do we have agreement on 70? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So Anthony, you got all those?
Yeah, I'll watch the video.
Okay. You got them? Okay. All right. So do we have a motion to report back to the town council with these recommendations? Besides these recommendations, that the redevelopment plan is consistent with the master plan.
I'll make a positive motion that it's consistent with the master plan.
A second.
Mayor Napolitani?
Yes.
Mr. DeCilia?
Yes.
Mr. DeGennaro?
Yes.
Mr. Delarno?
Yes.
Mr. Tamara?
Yes.
Ms. Littman?
Yes.
Mr. Linnell?
Yes.
Vice Chairman Paludas?
Yes.
And Chairman Foley?
Yes. Thank you very much, everyone. Next up, we have Kelly Miller and Kristen Keller, 83 Park Boulevard, Block 85, Lot 23 in the R5 zone. Excuse me. Hello, come on up.
How's it going?
Very good. We'll give a minute for folks who wish to leave without worrying about making noise. Okay, Ms. Miller, Ms. Keller, good evening. If you could see Anthony over here,
Right.
be sworn in.
First, I'm going to mark some exhibits into the record, and then I'll swear you in.
Sure.
All right, so for the record, we're going to have Exhibit A1 is the variance application. Exhibit A2 will be survey of property prepared by Charles Sermonte, P.E., dated January 17, 2017. And Exhibit A3, architectural plans prepared by Thomas F. Lavin, dated February 16, 2026, and revised through June 15, 2026. Then the board exhibits will be Exhibit B1, the zoning officer's report dated July 8, 2026. Exhibit B2, board planner's report dated July 22nd, 2026. And finally, Exhibit B3, board engineer's report dated June 22nd, 2026. Ma'am, can you state your full name and spell it for the record?
Kelly Miller, K-E-L-L-Y, M-I-L-L-E-R.
Are you an owner of the property?
Mm-hmm.
Can you raise your right hand? Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
You can proceed.
So we're just looking to put on a second story addition. We're, I think, pre-existing non-conforming by 7 or 8 feet-ish, roughly. That's really it.
Do you want to have, is it Mr. Schmonte, right?
This is
Oh,
Mr.
Lavin, I'm sorry. Yeah, yeah. Are you gonna have him walk through anything, or
Sure.
you don't have to? I mean, okay, just swear you in, Mr. Lavin.
Mr. Lavin, can I swear you in? Can you state your name and spell it for the record?
Thomas Lavin, L-A-V-I-N,
And your business address, sir?
3430 Sunset Ave.
And do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth,
Nothing but the truth?
I do. Okay, the house is located at the corner of Park Boulevard and Romaine Parkway, faces Dave DeRouche Park. It has existing nonconformities of the front yard on both streets. The house was built that way. They're proposing to add a second floor. It's a one-story ranch, and they're proposing to add the second floor over the existing structure, and then adding a small covered patio on the back of the property. The covered patio does not increase the side yard setback for Romaine.
The covered patio is actually smaller than the existing deck that's.
Yes, there's
That's
a
being
large
removed.
existing deck that's being removed
Being
and replaced with a smaller covered patio. To give them more yard space. They have a little girl, they need some room for playtime. Existing house, drawing P1.1, consists of a living room, kitchen, garage, and then a regular sized bedroom and two smaller bedrooms. This is the wood deck that would be removed. So basically, with the couple and their daughter, the rooms are pretty tight back here. So they'd like to create, by adding the second floor, they can move the bedrooms up there. P1.2. So downstairs will become a more open living room kitchen area. They are expanding the kitchen. The two smaller bedrooms becoming a dining room. They'll keep the bigger bedroom down there as a guest room or whatever. And then upstairs they'll be able to create two bedrooms with a playroom for their daughter and a study. And then the covered, like I said, the covered patio is a little smaller than the deck that's currently there. The drawings P2.1 and P2.2 show the house as it exists and the new. Everything will be replaced because we're adding a full second floor, so the roof's going to be all new shingles. All the siding will be redone so it's consistent. That's basically it.
And so that second floor is straight up above the existing.
Going straight up, the
Yep.
setbacks are remaining the same.
Right. There's no increase. Right. No increase on any of the setbacks.
Building coverage is being increased by a little over 2%, but the impervious coverage is actually being reduced by, looks like almost 2.5%.
And
You
they're
said
they're still within.
No additional bedrooms, right? That's an
No
important
additional
point.
bedrooms yet.
So doesn't
The
trigger any
impervious is
increase.
well below what's permitted.
So there's no trigger to increase parking or anything.
No,
No, but there is plenty of parking. There's a 3-car driveway plus the 1 car for the garage, so there's more than enough for what's there, what's being added.
My only other comments are that there's a shed that's non-conforming in the rear yard, so if that's ever changed or removed, it should be, and replaced, it should be compliant with the setbacks. Or have to come back to the board. And the other one would be that the siding for the addition and the existing building be compatible.
Probably gonna do that, right? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, the whole house will be re-sided, so it's all one.
And we don't plan on touching the shed, it's just gonna find it.
Anyone have any questions?
No.
Do any members of the public have any questions or comments on this? Okay, we'll close the public hearing. Make a motion?
I'll make a motion in a positive.
Oh, sorry, Ben.
In my report, I had a couple of comments that just basically had to do with soil erosion and sediment control, some details and some notes to be provided on the plan. I think those should be conditions of the.
Okay, thank you for pointing that out. That's okay, right? You have questions?
Yes,
Yeah.
they're
Basic comments that you'll need
minor
for town.
details and just some notes to be put on the plan during construction to ensure that the construction is properly contained on site.
We'll make sure they're added to the drawings.
Good. a lot of the conditions on getting a permit as well, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
likely for construction.
Hopefully, okay. Okay, now do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion in the positive affirmation.
Mayor Napatani?
Yes.
Mr. DeFilia?
Yes.
Mr. DeGenaro?
Yes.
Mr. Dolomar?
Yes.
Mr. Kimura?
Yes.
Ms. Whitman?
Yes.
Mr. Meow?
Yes.
Vice Chairman Davis?
Yes.
And Chairman Kent?
Yes. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Next, we have Greg and Janice Ciancio, 46 Lynn Drive, Block 1.02, Lot 97. First of all, did I pronounce your name correctly?
Correctly, yes.
All right.
Yeah, very good, thank you.
Welcome. By all means, have a seat. You're making me nervous.
The chairs are tied together.
Oh, are they really?
Oh, yeah, they're all locked together.
They're all tied
Yeah,
together.
Are the ones in the back
He has
zip
to
tied too?
stand.
Should be good.
Are the ones in the back zip tied too?
I'm concerned about people taking their chairs.
Okay.
Oh, it's more about people moving them.
Anthony, you want to mark in the packet?
Thank
Yep.
you.
Alright, so I'll start by marking the exhibits, the applicant's exhibits. Exhibit A1, variance application. Exhibit A2, a color photo and color rendering showing existing versus proposed improvements. And Exhibit A3, architectural plan prepared by Fortunato Architecture dated January 29th, 2026. The board exhibits will be Exhibit B1, zoning officer's report dated July 8th, 2026. Exhibit B2, Board Engineers Report dated June 22nd, 2026. Exhibit B3, Board Engineers Report dated July 22nd, 2026. And Exhibit B4, the Board Planner Report dated July 22nd, 2026. Which one of you two or both will be offering testimony today? Can you raise your right, well, can you state your name and spell it for the record, please?
Sure, it's Greg, Greg, last name Ciancio, Ciancio.
Do you swear or affirm the test?
Yes.
Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give?
Yes.
Truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Well, the current condition of the steps are the original steps. It's four steps to the front door. They're crumbling. So what we want to do is obviously replace it, but apparently our current steps are no longer in compliance. So therefore the variance. So as we're going to do, we're going to increase the square footage of steps that go wider and come out and add a portico. And that's basically the whole reason for this meeting, I guess, because now we're changing the footage for the.
And this is our builder.
That's our builder. So I don't know if you want, yeah, so.
Want me to swear in?
What?
You might not need to.
I don't, I think
You
you'll
might
be
not,
okay.
you really might not.
You'll be
need to.
fine.
Hey, Jim, any comments?
The only comment I have is that basically it's consistent with the intent of the master plan where the porticos
Yep.
extend out a little bit from the house. It provides shelter for people that are standing at the door waiting to get into the house. So I don't have a big problem with it. The only comment I do have is that the original architectural plan and the revised architectural plan has the same exact date. So the revised plan should be revised to show a date
Okay.
later than the original plan. So somebody's looking at the file in the future, they know which plan is the one that was approved.
All right.
Architects.
Yeah, trust
Other than that,
Architects.
Mr. Matlack.
I don't have any engineering comments.
Okay.
This is a very difficult one.
Anyone have questions?
No questions.
No questions?
I think all they needed to do was show the pictures. I think that really did it.
Come on,
It's a
this
really
guy
nice
standing there like that is like sweating.
Oh, you didn't see the picture?
The original,
He doesn't know what he's gonna build.
Would you like to see what you're doing? I could show you.
Okay.
It's been a while.
All right. Does do any members of the public have any questions or comments on this application? All right. Seeing none, we'll close the public hearing portion of the hearing. Do we have a motion?
I'd like to move for positive resolution.
I'll second.
Mayor Napatani?
Yes.
Yes.
Mr. DeGenaro?
Yes.
Mr. Dolomar?
Yes.
Mr. Kimura?
Yes.
Ms. Whitman?
Yes.
Mr. Meow?
Yes.
Vice Chairman Davis?
Yes.
Chairman Kohler?
Yes. Thank you very much. Have a great evening.
Thank you.
All right. Lastly, we have the Park at Ocean Condominium Association Incorporated, Block 33, Lot 19.03, Deal Avenue in the C7 zone. Attorney for the applicant, Mr. Jeffrey Beekman.
Good evening,
Hi,
Jeffrey
good evening.
Beekman, the Beekman Law Firm. I represent the applicant on this application. This is a continuation from the May Planning Board meeting, and it is an application for a minor, or an amendment to the prior preliminary and final site plan, which I think Mr. Higgins has identified as a minor site plan.
That's correct.
Correct?
I will state for the record, obviously we have a new board, right? We have a lot of new members.
Yes.
I think everyone has listened, right? All the voting members this evening have listened to the first hearing and have signed something to the fact that they have listened, okay? Anything else we need to do on that?
No.
I think that suffices, right?
One other thing, unless you have objection, Mr. Beekman, I'm going to remark the exhibits from last time because we have superseding professionals reports and updated plans, so I think it makes sense that we update with remarking.
Well, my notes indicate that we were at A6 as far as the applicant's exhibits, and we were at B9 as far as the board's exhibits.
Yeah, my packet reflects exhibit A5 for applicant exhibits and B10 for board exhibits. And it,
I actually listened to the tape today.
I was saying I was going to remark them for today's hearing based upon
Just for the record.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, okay, sure.
You understand where I'm coming
Yeah.
from? Okay. All right. So exhibit A1 will be the site plan application. Exhibit A2 will be memorandum prepared by the Beekman Law Firm dated July 1st, 2026. Exhibit A3 will be the colored rendering of a proposed deck dated June 7th, 2024. Exhibit A4 will be a utility A-built survey by Bowman Consulting Limited dated July 31st, 2023. And Exhibit A5 will be typical deck foundation plan, details and notes prepared by Colliers Engineering and Design dated June 26, 2026. For the board exhibits, we have Exhibit B1, Zoning Officer's Report dated July 16, 2026. Exhibit B2, Board Planner's Report dated July 22, 2026. Exhibit B3, Board Engineer's Report dated July 17, 2026. Exhibit B4, Memorandum from Code Enforcement dated April 16, 2026. Exhibit B5, Memorandum from Department of Public Works dated April 16, 2026. Exhibit B6, Fire Marshal's Report dated April 27, 2026. Exhibit B7, Traffic Safety Bureau Report dated April 17, 2026. Exhibit B8, Crime Prevention Unit Report dated April 17, 2026. Exhibit B9, Flood Risk Notification Report prepared by NJDEP dated October 22, 2024. And Exhibit B10, Prior Planning Board Resolution dated October 28, 2019.
And for the record, at the last meeting, there was also an aerial exhibit that was marked as A6. That was my A6. Just a brief background of the application. As I indicated, we were here for the May meeting of the Planning Board, coming back here because there were some requests from the board members to provide some additional details regarding the deck footings, specifically for Building 3 on the site, as well as for 2 of the units on Building 2 on the site. All of the other units do not have any issues as far as the underground stormwater retention system, and that was the question of the board. And as indicated, it is an application for a minor site plan with these amendments. In essence, what the applicant is looking for, and I just wanted to clarify the agenda item, the applicant is looking for the alternative for each of the units to either have a deck or have a patio. And the size of the proposed deck and patio would be 11 feet deep by 22.5 feet wide, approximately 247.5 square feet, as indicated at the last meeting. I have here Mark Lescavage, who was sworn in at the last meeting. He is our applicant's both engineer and planner for the application.
Sir, can you state your name and spell it for the record, please?
Sure. Mark Lescavage, Lescavage.
Could you raise your right hand? Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Mr. Beekman, will you go to him?
Yeah. So Mr. Lescavage, you were accepted by the board the last meeting as both engineer and planning.
I was,
correct?
yes.
And have your licenses changed since the last meeting?
No, they have not.
Still current in effect?
Still current and in effect.
I would continue to offer Mr. Lescavage as an expert.
Certainly.
Thank you. So you've been tasked, and Colliers have been tasked to provide some updates to the plans, to provide some footing details. You could just go over with the board the plan that you have provided, which I guess we should probably identify that as A7 because that was not marked yet.
Can you just describe Exhibit A7?
Yes. Mark, that's the exhibit you have up there, correct?
That's correct. So the plan is the typical deck foundation plan detail and notes, and it's dated June 26th, 2026.
And if you could just go over what that plan is describing, Mark?
Yes, and this came out of concerns from the board's engineer and the board members with the potential effect of the proposed deck on Building 3 on the stormwater management system. So to illustrate that, we have the typical foundation plan that we created. This is specific to the end unit, but it would apply to all the units in Building 3. And what you could see is the dashed area is the extent of an underground recharge system, which consists of perforated pipes and stone. And the concern is that the deck would impact that system. So hearing the concerns and talking with our structural engineers, we came up with this plan. And the plan is that we would have to have piered foundations that would be put in adjacent to the stormwater system, but not into the stormwater system, and that the deck, a portion of the deck would cantilever over the top of that stormwater system so it wouldn't impact it. What you see on the right of the page is the complete design of that footing, which you can see is a 24-inch pier that would be augured in with a sonotube with a steel rebar cage and a concrete pier. And that footing has been designed to take the load from that the deck, which is proposed at 11 by 22.5 feet. And with that post and the moment around it, that will resist the loads that are being put on it by the cantilevered part of the deck. So this could exist over that system and not impact it from a structural standpoint.
And we had talked, actually there was testimony at the last meeting as well, that there would be restrictions as well as amendments to the master deed addressing any of the concerns that the board had as well as the board's planner. Is that accurate?
That's correct.
Okay. So that would address the fact that if in the future there's any improvements to the stormwater system, repairs to the stormwater system, or replacements, that can be done?
That's correct,
And,
yes.
and how would that generally be done from a structural standpoint?
It depends on what the actual issue is. If it was a complete collapse of the system, they might have to take down the deck to make those repairs, and that, the homeowners in that building, they understand that that is a possibility, and that they would bear the cost of putting that deck back in place if that was the case.
And this is something that happens oftentimes when there's infrastructure over infrastructure in the communities all over the state, correct?
That's correct.
And then from the standpoint of the depth of the footing, how does that compare to the pipes?
So specifically, our structural engineer has designed it so that the footing will extend to the bottom of the stormwater management system. Therefore, all the bearing pressure from the deck that's transferred to that foundation will not impact laterally onto that stormwater system.
And as far as that stormwater system is concerned, it's not directly next to the pipe. Is that accurate?
No, there's a 10-inch gap where there will be stone, and the pier will exist just outside of what is filter fabric that wraps around that system.
And that's existing on the system today?
That's correct.
And when this design was made, you identified the depth of the existing system?
That's correct. We used the latest as-built for that system.
And just going through Mr. Matlack's letter, he's got 7 items here. As far as the existing downspouts, you don't believe there's any issues, impact with the existing downspouts?
No, I don't.
And then as far as patios, can you explain if a homeowner decided to put a patio instead of a deck in, how does that work?
So the patio would actually have less of an impact on the stormwater system. And based on that comment, we did prepare another exhibit just so the board could see what a patio would look like in a cross-section compared to the deck. So I guess I would introduce that as A8, is it?
It would be A8, correct.
Okay.
Do you have that?
Yes. Okay.
And Mark, this exhibit is in direct response to the comment in the review letter, is that accurate?
That's accurate. It actually addresses item 2 and 6 of Mr. Matlack's letter.
And if you could just describe both the patio situation as well as the step situation.
Sure. So first I'll just go to the plan view, which was very similar to the one in the typical foundation detail. The only difference is I did add in the existing steps so that you could see that the existing steps would remain, and that if we were in a patio situation where that was the choice of the homeowner, and the patio would go to the extent of where the deck is shown here and would still exist. And then as shown, if the deck was the choice, then the steps from coming down from the deck would be over the top of the stormwater system, but there would only be a 5-inch concrete pad there, so there would still be separation to the stormwater system and it wouldn't impact it.
And then if you could just describe the patio as well on the right side of that drawing.
Correct. On the bottom right, this would be a representation of what a patio would look like. This would be through the cross-section of where the existing steps would be, but that's roughly what you would be looking at from a dimension size.
And the general patio over infrastructure is no different than a sidewalk over infrastructure, correct?
Correct. The loads would not affect the stormwater system.
And there's a comment, I'm going to skip to number 5. Reference note number 1 references an as-built survey dated January 29, or last revised January 29, 2025. Can you just respond to that comment?
Yes. So when we actually started preparing the typical foundation plan, we found a later as-built than the one that we originally submitted with the application. And of course, that being the latest and the most accurate, that's the one we use to prepare the design for the typical foundation. And we have submitted that to the board, but of course, that's a new survey. I do have the survey here if the board would like to look at it. But there's no appreciable changes. The only changes on the plan that we've seen where there was a couple changes in invert elevations that really were taken into account in the design anyway.
And then as far as comment, I believe we identified comment number 4 already as far as the offset of the stone trench. I think you addressed that. And number 7, there's a comment specifically with building number 2, units 121 and 123, and that was the decision by those units would be to keep the depth at 10 feet. Any issues with making the modifications to the plan if there were an approval?
None at all, no.
Right. And I can represent, I have spoken to those unit owners, and they're okay with, they were previously approved with a 10 by 10 deck. They're looking for a 10 by 22 deck, so their depth would remain the same of what was approved previously. The only other comments I have are related to, there's just a discrepancy in Ms. Mayer's letter and Mr. Higgins' letter, and that is whether buildings 11 and 12 on the west side of the site, whether they require a variance or not. We have noticed for purposes of this application a variance. Whether it's required or not, I don't think it's material from the standpoint of noticing, but if it's required, obviously we have asked for that. And there has been testimony on that previously at the last hearing.
Can you clear that up? Can you clear that up?
I don't think variances are necessary for those two buildings.
Okay, I think we might have a number of questions. If I could start with Mr. Matlack, and then we'll take questions from the board.
Sure. Can you address number 4 regarding how the foundations for the decks are going to be installed without the,
Sure.
Without impacting the stormwater system?
Yes, absolutely. So they will be soil augered in place to minimize the disturbance to exactly the width needed for the sonotube to go in. It's a common practice when doing this type of foundation. And we can add a note to the plans to make sure that that's the method of construction used.
You're not concerned you're going to cut the fabric with that?
If they did, then they'd have to repair it. You know, in the end, it's you know, it is close.
I don't know how you repair it though.
I have a clarification too.
Sure.
Can you talk about that 10-inch minimum off the new footing for the deck? Because when I'm looking at the existing plan, it looks like the existing storm lines are a lot further away from the houses. So is that a 10-inch minimum? Because to me, it seems like they're going to be further away than that. So the distance.
So this was the design plan that was put into play. I believe that the 10 inches is accurate.
No, what I'm saying is that's a 10-inch minimum. Looking at your plan here, the existing plan, I think they're going to be further away from that than 10 inches. They're not even going to be near 10 inches.
So the 10 inches that you're talking about is the distance from the pipe to the foundation of the deck. The buildings are going to be further than that from the pipe.
Talking about We're talking about this recharge trench,
Oh, I got it.
which is here.
Okay, I got it. Okay.
It's not a pipe. Well, there's pipes inside that. I don't see how you're going to construct that without impacting the recharge trench.
I did look at the soil logs. It's very much clay type soil, and doing a soil auger. The only other thing that they could do to even make it better would be to have a vacuum excavator. I guess we could stipulate that.
Yeah, so the concern with what we're all kind of discussing here is if you damage the fabric that surrounds the stone trench, it'll allow fine particles to get in there and basically clog up the clean stone that's in that stone trench. So basically you lose volume where you can store water in the event of a storm. So protecting that stormwater system, underground drainage system, is very important to have a functioning system. Otherwise, there could be problems, which could lead to maintenance that would require removal of decks, things like that.
And the least amount of disturbance there, the better, right?
Right.
And you're not
So right now, what's being shown is 0 inches from the stone trench to the foundation for the decks.
And the
And that was where my comment came from, of, you know, how is that going to be protected? Obviously, it's not constructed in the field with perfect, like, straight lines, so I feel like some type of investigation before construction would definitely be necessary to find the edge of where that is.
We do have the notes. The other thing, anticipating that this may be a problem, I did talk to our structural engineer, and he did look at the pier foundation, which right now is a 24-inch, and he said we can go down to an 18-inch, which would give us more separation.
Mr. Matlack, can you refer to the DEP flood risk report for me? I have a question.
Sure.
I just want to make sure I'm interpreting this correctly, that this subject property has different areas on it, correct? It's located in a special flooding hazard area,
Yeah,
and then moderate risk as well, right?
Right. The overall site of DL-35 is in the has portions of the site that are in the flood hazard area.
Right.
The majority of that is towards the north of the site, where the stream is at the back.
Okay. And on the bottom, it reads that coastal and inland areas may experience significant flooding now and in the near future, including in places that were not previously known to flood. And it just elaborates on that a lot. So I don't understand why we would even want to consider increasing the patio space if we have such concerns about flooding, especially here.
Well, allow me to address that. So this is, I put in a block and a lot. I actually am the one that provided this document. I put in a block and a lot. It gives you the entire block and lot. This entire block and lot is the entire original corner property from Deal Road and 35.
I'm so glad you said that, 'cause
So-
I was gonna ask,
so-
was this from DEP or is this something
This is just
you
from
did?
DEP, and it's a generalized, anytime I print a report that talks about the AE zone, it has that same exact language that you were talking about. But as Mr. Matlack indicated, there is a buffer area that we can't go into. We're not going into here. We're well away from that buffer area. It was actually part of the original application.
So hang on, following up on that, this is not the first time that we've talked about stormwater on the site. They had to come back for an amended site plan on stormwater. Someone have memories of this? Because they've had to fix this stormwater system on this site before. Someone, anyone?
So I was not the board engineer when this application came before the planning board, the original application. The modifications to the stormwater system that happened during construction were not to this particular recharge trench basin.
Okay, but given that and you just pointed out the clay on site, it's had some struggles with stormwater infrastructure. The extra, I'm ballparking here, Ben, correct me if I'm wrong, I'm guessing 7,500 extra square feet of impervious coverage, right? 51 decks by 147 extra feet, 100 square foot to 247 square foot.
That sounds about right.
Is the stormwater system as designed capable of handling that extra? I know it's not a lot, but cumulative impact adds up.
We haven't seen that. There hasn't been any submitted that is like a revised drainage report for the entire development. I don't know that is particularly necessary in this case because the original plans did approve decks for the majority of these units. So the changes that are being proposed are de minimis.
Can I ask a question to follow up on that?
Sure.
Yes.
what you just said, that the decks were approved for the majority of the project. Do you know why they weren't approved for, I think it was building 3 that they were not originally approved and now you're looking for approval?
Building 3 did not have decks, that's right.
And now you're asking for approval?
We are,
Do we know why they did not ask for them in the first place?
Because they needed variances, I'm assuming. Because
I
now they
can't
need
answer that 'cause
Yeah,
it's-
sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Or could it be that they were concerned about flooding at that building? At that
I didn't know
location?
if that was close to the trees or the light.
They would have required setback variances from the perimeter, and my recollection is that's the reason they weren't approved.
I mean, that's
There
part
was
of,
some discussion before the board at that time with moving the units further from the library track. So that the units were moved further from the library track, but building 3 was only about 25 feet from the perimeter. So to put a 10-foot deck would have required setback variance.
I mean, that's something that I was gonna bring up, that hasn't been addressed, like, what's the positive criteria for
So-
having these decks versus
So
when they weren't approved originally?
If you listen to the tapes on the last hearing, I gave extensive testimony to that, and Mr. Higgins agreed with my testimony on that.
I apologize, I don't recall, because it goes to so many meetings during a month, I just don't recall the specifics of that.
So can I follow up on that, because I want to make sure we're talking about the same testimony you gave. This was where you were talking about the meaningful private outdoor space, decentralized recreation space,
Yes.
and no on-site amenity areas.
Correct.
Correct. Why doesn't the site have on-site amenity areas?
I can't speak to the original.
Well, I can, because I was on the board at the time. There were no on-site amenity areas. That was pitched to the board as one of the reasons to approve the configuration of townhouses as designed. There were supposed to be fewer amenities. It was supposed to be more compact, and the rationale was that Joe Palea Park was right next door. They didn't need on-site amenities because they had the biggest recreation parcel in the entire town right there, immediately adjacent. So, as someone who was on the board at the time, your testimony saying that no on-site amenity areas, one of the reasons that we should approve the decks, doesn't really jive with me, since one of the reasons that we were inclined to approve it was that there were going to be no on-site amenity areas in the original application. So I'm having a hard time rationalizing these two competing thoughts.
I stick by my testimony, and you have 51 residents who wanted the decks, and part of the reason is they wanted an area to have a grill and to have an area where they can entertain. To me, that's an on-site amenity, and it's not afforded to them with a clubhouse in it as a traditional development. So I stand by that testimony.
For the buildings 2 and 3 in question, the numbers here, the different units, I think they're all affected by the drainage pipe and the variance that we need. Are we talking decks for all of them? Because we keep using it kind of interchangeable, but your letter, Mr. Beckman, it says decks, but do we have a consensus from the homeowners? Are they all looking for decks, or?
The testimony at the last hearing is consistent today, and yes, they would like decks. But we understood making this application in the first place. We went through this with the homeowners, and the decision was to give them an option of either putting decks or patios if they chose to do the patios. One of the reasons for that was because of the very reason that we're talking about tonight, specifically related to buildings 2 and 3, and that is the footings associated with the pipe. Testimony is that we believe that the footings can be put in there. It can be put in there without detriment or damage to the underground drainage system. And that there are ways to do this without interfering with that.
So, question for you, Mr. Matlock. If a homeowner chooses to go with a patio, let's just say in building 3 there, let's say they're all going to do, there's going to be soil disruption, they're going to have to typically bring out soil, bring in rock. Is there any issues with the discharge system with all that disturbance going on? I know we're focusing on, the footings, but in your professional opinion, if say they're all going to go to patios now,
Meaning the actual construction of
The actual construction, because I mean, typically you have to go down so far, you have to bring in different types of stone, maybe sand, to build that back up, so. I feel like I don't know, we're asking for different things here, and trying to wrap my head around that, like, if we're being exclusive here on patios, or we're being exclusive on specifically these two buildings, you know, where there is an issue with the discharge. I know we're talking about specifically the decks, but I would like to know more on, if we go to a patio, is it gonna cause bigger problems or less problems? I don't know.
So Mark, do you have a detail or cross-section of the patio?
Yeah, we think the typical patio here would be about 7 inches deep, including the sand underneath it and the actual paver block.
And what's the depth from the surface to the recharge system?
So it varies, but it's usually 8 to 2.5 feet, I believe, is the range.
So the construction of a patio would not touch the recharge system?
Correct.
So if you're going down 7 inches, but if it's in areas of 8 inches, there's only 1 inch in between? Did I hear that correctly?
That's correct.
Yeah. And that's to the top of
That's to the top of the
That's
filter,
top of it,
the fabric.
filter with the fabric and everything.
So it wouldn't disturb it?
By 1 inch.
In that case, sure, by 1 inch. You still have, how much stone is on top of the pipes?
Let me see. Used to be about 6 inches.
Yeah, I mean, it wouldn't reach the.
Wouldn't reach it.
Wouldn't reach it during construction.
I have a question. The decks and patios now, you're gonna allow the homeowners to choose which one they want, right? And right now, what is there currently, is everybody have a deck?
Nobody has anything right now.
Okay.
So when the construction was built, the developer did not. They only provided the stairs off the rear.
But the rest of the complex, though, they all have decks.
No.
No.
No. There are no decks today. They were approved at the original hearing. They were approved except for building 3.
Okay.
They all have steps down.
They all have steps down today.
Right. They have steps coming down. That's what I see. Then.
That's right. That's it. No, there are no decks today.
And they have small patios.
Right.
All the other ones. Do they have concrete patios? No.
And nothing.
They have nothing.
They just have steps off the building there.
Yeah, I think it's just steps in a
They were
small.
approved for
I
10
didn't
by
walk the
10.
entire site, but I walked most of it.
Except building 3.
This is also all the other ones have a 10 by 10.
Yeah, they're allowed.
They're allowed.
They're allowed.
Got it.
Nobody has, correct? Nobody
That's
has
correct.
any-
Nobody has a deck today.
10 by 10
And if
deck.
somebody decides to go with a patio, would that be made out of concrete, pavers? What type of material would be used for that?
Pavers.
Pavers.
It would be we would stipulate that it would be a pervious paver system, and that's what Mark has designed as well.
Have any of the homeowners expressed concern about not being uniform with the rest of the project? Some having patios, some having decks?
No, the association will create a uniformity policy. That's been the intention all along as part of this application. And quite honestly, the decks that were approved, there's nothing in the governing documents now indicating what that uniformity is. So the association has to do that anyway when it comes to the decks that were already approved.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Matlack, the filter fabric is at the bottom of the trench, but then it also turns vertically.
It wraps the entire trench.
Wraps the entire thing. So that's an important point, that 0 inch is literally the filter. And to your point, the excavator probably didn't, it's not a perfectly straight line, but the piles or the piers are proposed to literally touch the filter fabric. So I'm having a hard time understanding how that, I mean, to Mr. DeGennaro's point, no one's going to be able to dig that hole and not mess with the filter fabric.
You're not sending anybody down in a 2-foot hole to look to see if the fabric was damaged either.
Which it is going to be compromised. It is going to breach the system. You are going to end up with soil getting into the recharge basin. So I don't understand how you could propose that it is literally touching it without affecting it.
I mean, even if you're 6 inches away, I'd be concerned that you're going to damage it. Because there's no way you can know.
100%.
Just a follow-up question, and maybe this is more like for a geotechnical engineer, but like, is the actual operation of that basin over time, does that undermine a pier like that because of its proximity to moisture, the actual recharge itself? Like, I don't know if that's something structural engineer or geotech would have to evaluate.
I don't know that it would necessarily undermine it.
Okay.
Undermining to me means like soil would be eroded away. I wouldn't anticipate that would be the case.
Okay.
But I'm not a geotechnical engineer.
You could get additional settlement.
I don't know if that falls under the building department's purview or not.
Okay, probably. Yeah. Okay. All right. Thank you.
Another question also. So we talked about just in case there's an emergency, they have to get into the system. They have to remove the deck or the patio. Is that correct?
As needed, yes.
As needed. And is that something? I'm going to go to the professionals for this one. Is that normal on most projects that you need to remove either a deck or a patio to get to the water system?
Well, if there was a need to excavate that area, then it would have to be removed. They wouldn't go in there for routine maintenance to excavate that. But if something were to happen that they needed to repair something or do something like that, then yes. Mark, I don't know if it's shown on the plan. What is the actual distance of the overhang over the recharge system?
You're talking about from the pier out?
Yeah, like how far is the patio?
It would be about 5 feet.
5 feet. Okay.
Thank you.
I want to make an analogy. Can you tell me if this is right? If you have a home and there's an easement for a large storm drain across your property, you would try to avoid putting a big patio or pool on top of where that easement is, because if they have to come in and fix that sewer pipe, you have to go under the pool or rip up the patio. Right? Is this
It's
analogous to that?
It's very similar. A pool almost certainly would not be allowed to be constructed on top
Understood.
of a
That, but
pipe. A patio, you know, we would be talking about the same thing, that the town could at any point come and
Right.
rip it up. Same with a shed or a fence. So that is what we're talking about in this situation. Yeah.
thank you.
Any more questions from the board?
I just have one for our engineer. Do you see any concerns putting a patio over the drainage system or the recharge system for building 3 only?
So from an engineering standpoint, I don't believe a patio is going to negatively impact the drainage system. I have a little more concern about the decks with the foundations that are constructed right next to it. Whether or not the board wants to approve that, knowing what we've talked about, that they could be subject to removal if needed to maintain the system, that's up to you.
And a patio would have to be removed too, right?
A patio would have to be removed.
Right. So just like the example Ms.
Right,
Whitman said,
right.
you know.
That's, you wouldn't buy a home and put a patio on top of that drainage pipe. You would put it in another place.
But I was thinking more of like the easement, if they had to be moved,
Right, but
it still have to be moved.
find a better way
but-
is all I keep thinking.
Are the existing, you made a comment about the existing downspouts and leader drain collection system not being impacted by the decks. What do they do now? Are they tied into a system or they just dump on grade?
Some dump to grade and some come into a parallel system that would be under the deck, but not impacted by the deck, because the deck would be going into the building, and the collection pipe is actually under the ground there, and then connects outside the limits of where the decks would be. So we did look at that.
Any more questions? Any questions from the public on this application? Any comments from the public on this application? Come on over, sir.
Can I just have a minute, if I may,
Sure.
Mr. Chair?
Oh, I'm sorry.
He's one of the homeowners.
He says yes.
I thought he's looking at me.
Mr. Vice Chair?
In all seriousness, 2 minutes, because you're almost at your 45 minutes.
Yes, thank you.
I apologize. He's looking right now.
Okay, we are back. No one is left.
Thank you for
Hold on 1 second. You have to start the recording again. Okay, we're back. The entire board is still here, no one left.
Thank you for your indulgence. So I just wanted to, on the record, so Mark, you talked about a vacuum system. If you can explain how that works?
That's correct. So instead of an auger where you're augering down and bringing up the soil, a vacuum excavator actually goes in and sucks the soil out. So there's almost no chance of the disturbance of the filter fabric in that case. And I think that, along with the fact that we're reducing the pier to an 18-inch, so that will give 3 to 4 inches of separation from that, and then having a stipulation that will locate the system, before they start the excavation on the piers. I think that will adequately address the board's concerns.
Mr. Chair, can I ask another question?
I was going to ask, Mr. Mount, do you have a response to that?
Yeah, so I agree that an 18-inch foundation, if that can be designed to work, then that would provide a little bit of separation between the underground system and the excavation and the pier. And a vacuum excavation would be a safer way to excavate without impacting the stormwater system. And I agree, I think that we still do need to see test pits in the field to locate the exact edge of the system so that they know exactly where it is when they're digging or vacuum excavating for these piers.
What's the soil again? You said it's clay?
Yeah, it's like a K2 soil, so it does have a higher clay content.
Yeah, vacuum truck doesn't work with clay. It's because it retains water and it won't pull it out. You need to pressure jet it then, and then you're back to disturbing the silt fabric.
Well, I think it's still a K2, so I think they can do a vacuum excavator for this.
Mr. Plutis?
I'm not sure if Alec is for you or for the applicant, but who owns the discharge system and who's responsible for the maintenance of that?
I believe that's part of the governing documents, and the association is responsible for that.
They're responsible and they own it, and it's they mainly.
I believe so. I
don't know if our
I
professionals
can't
can weigh
guarantee
in
that,
on
but I do believe so.
I believe it's owned by the HOA. I'm not 100% sure, but I believe
It's not the townships or.
I don't think it's tied to the township system.
No, because there's no easement on the site, correct?
Right.
So it would be likely owned by the HOA, and that would be discussed in the master deed.
And generally, there's a maintenance manual that is also recorded in the county clerk's office,
Kinda like
identifying the
retention
obligations.
Basins, they have to be cleaned once a year. Or
Right. That's right.
Yes,
That's right.
there is an operation and maintenance manual for every basin or underground infiltration system on the site.
And Ben, who checks that those maintenance manuals are being followed?
I believe the township code enforcement officer. But ultimately, the township is responsible for that.
The township's responsible
to check that they are being followed, but it's the responsibility of the owner of the system to actually do that work.
Jim, do you have any comments on anything that has not been said already?
No.
I'm looking at, and I apologize if this went over at the prior meeting, but you talk about if all the units had been approved for larger decks, the building coverage, what the building coverage would be.
Yeah, I put that in, if, if all the units were approved and you look at the entire tract, which is the commercial tract as well as the townhouse tract, that there would probably still be a minor site plan. But at the same time, if they were to amend the application to do that, it would probably mean renoticing and coming back for another hearing, which probably, I don't think they want to do. I threw it out there as an option for them, but obviously they're here tonight, so.
To maybe include all, okay, all right. Okay.
I have one more thing. My comment number 3 about a master deed amendment would be required to address the responsibility in the deck, that a deck or a patio is removed. That would be necessary to make sure that the homeowners, through the master deed for the HOA, it's documented that they are responsible to replace anything that's removed in order to maintain the system.
And we did address that would be a requirement, and quite honestly, before I even submitted my application, I had that conversation with the homeowners association and said, that's gonna be something that you're gonna have to do if you have an approval here, because there's the possibility that those decks or patios may have to be temporarily relocated until any work is done on that. So as far as the application goes, the application as we have it right now, we're proposing at what we propose as far as both decks or patios, depending on what the homeowner requested to do. If the board really is inclined to not want decks on unit 3, building 3, please let me know, because we would just ask to be allowed to have patios. But if the board's inclined to allow that, and obviously the building department is going to have to review everything, the building department is going to have to make sure everything's done, those test pits are going to have to be done. We've stipulated to do everything that we need to do to ensure that the filter fabric and rock and the system is protected while the construction goes in for any decks. We do not believe for patios that is a necessary requirement, other than to ensure that we don't anyone doesn't go too low in those areas where you might have a shallower depth to the top of the filter fabric. But it sounds like, from what Mr. Lescavich has identified in the field, that should not be a problem for substantially all of any patio that might be installed on the site.
Okay, so if we're keeping score, we have to decide whether we're going to approve amendments to the site plan, right? And then for buildings 2 and 3, because of their setbacks, we'd be granting variances in those cases.
Only building 3.
Oh, just building 3, not building 2.
Right. So building 3 has the setbacks to the perimeter.
Mhm.
Building 2 has a setback to adjoining structures with the library site. And I would point out that one of those adjoining structures is not conforming with the setback on that site according to your ordinance. And if it were, we would be compliant. It wouldn't be an issue.
Okay.
And not all of building 2 is affected by.
No, so
Yeah.
building 2, the system is much further away than what we have on building 3.
Building 2 doesn't require setbacks either for the decks.
That's correct.
Yeah,
That's
only
correct.
building 3.
But isn't the recharge system or the discharge system is only on the northern part of building 2? It's not
That's
all the
correct.
way down
That's
the
correct.
entire thing.
And when those are constructed, those will be constructed with the footings far enough away. We're not talking about what we've been talking about tonight. Building 3 is really
Just
the only
building
building
3. Okay.
that has
I thought
that
it was
issue.
one
So,
part of building.
So
so
building 2 is
building 2, those footings are going to be far enough away that we're not going to be within,
And
an
the
inch
deck-
or two.
And the deck won't overhang the.
The deck may overhang, but it's not. Mark, do you know what the distance is from building those units?
So on building 2, the recharge system is 10 feet off of the back.
And that building was already approved for 10-foot decks, and that's the building that we have indicated that they will be 10-foot
We're gonna
decks.
keep 10
So
foot.
there might be a slight overhang, but it's not going to be what we're talking about with building 3.
And it's only a setback variance if it's a deck, right? If it's a patio, that's not. On building 3.
Yes.
Okay.
Right.
The units on building 2, I'm sorry, I think you already are reiterating it again. You're reducing what was originally requested from 11 feet to 10 feet.
That's right. That's right. If they're going to install decks. Patio, they would still ask for the 11 feet. Deck, they're asking for 10 feet.
Okay.
It's
And
11
I'm
or
gonna ask
11
if we
and a
go
half.
to, if we go,
It's 11 by 22 and a half.
if we go to Mr. Higgins, if we go back, this is where I'm gonna be confused. If we go back to 11, is it just 11 feet or 11 and a half feet?
It's 11 feet deep by 22 and a half
If we
wide.
go back to 11 feet, do they need a variance for the library for building 2?
No.
No, they don't need it, okay.
I think we do.
I think
we
you do.
requested, yeah. So the
But you wanna go back to a patio, or if you go to a patio.
well, all right. Mark, can you just pick up that plan right there? So the shaded 2 units on the southern end of building 2 and the northern end of building 1, those are the 2 we're talking about that has the setbacks to the adjacent structures. They don't have a
Jeff, what are you talking about, a setback to an adjacent structure?
so Mark, if you can explain what the ordinance talks about as far as distance between adjoining structures on another site?
Yeah, so the library site is next door to the library community center.
I'm just not aware of that provision in the ordinance, that's what I'm asking.
Yeah, it was a requirement for a setback from the adjacent property, the building and structure. So on unit 113, with the proposed deck, that would be 96.7 feet off of the community center building, where 100 feet is required. And then from unit 111 with the proposed deck, that would be 71.4 feet off of the parking lot, which was considered a structure where 75 feet is required. So it's it's the setback for the building to the adjacent property, structure, and building.
So as far as the what's the northern unit number on building 1?
111.
So as far as 111 to the parking lot, that's what I was talking about. The parking lot's not compliant with the setback. If it were compliant with the setback, we would actually be compliant with that restriction. As far as the building just to the north of that, the south end of building 2, that's that little bump out of the library. Whether we have a 10-foot or 11-foot deck, right now this is showing 11-foot, we still need a variance for that. And it wasn't identified in the original application.
They were approved for 10-foot deck.
They were approved for 10 by 10 decks. We're asking for those 2 units on building 2. We're asking for 10 by 22 and a half.
So they will be no closer
than what
to
was
the library than what was approved.
That's right.
That's right. That should be the headline for
But
that.
but they don't have the variance. It's not those 2 that have the variance. It's those 2 that are shaded. The decks comply with the setback to the perimeter. They don't comply to the adjacent structure distance.
And what is the setback to the adjacent parking area? It's not the building, it's the parking area, right?
Correct.
Correct.
What is it?
71.4.
Versus 75.
Right.
So the plan was approved. The library was there at the time,
Correct.
and now that's a cleanup.
I guess it's a cleanup. I don't know. I didn't see it in the resolution, so I assume it wasn't identified. Whether there was a change in the ordinance, I don't know. But we've identified it and we've noticed it.
Well, is it it's 96.7 feet to the bottom of the stairs right now?
That's correct.
So kind of the width of the stairs, because it originally was only approved with a 10 by 10 patio. So originally it could have complied, and this is now encroaching closer to the library building.
Just to be clear, the 10 by 10 decks did not show any stairs. So I think Mr. Matlick probably hit it on the head.
Okay. Well, I'm clear. All right, so we have some discussion on what we're thinking here. Because there's elements to this. I don't know if everybody's going to agree on how to go with each thing, right?
If we maybe start with the paver patio for building 3, because I think that, I mean, they're offering that. Mr. Matlack seems like he's okay with it, right?
Yeah, I would be more comfortable with a paver patio for building 3 as opposed to the deck because of the foundation excavation.
Okay.
Can you point out building 3 on that for me, please?
One with the red. See the two little red dots?
The red? That, not the red dot, the other one. That's why I
Oh
wish
yeah,
we had
that's
a
two.
big
Yeah,
color
sorry,
rendering.
that's three. Yeah.
Thank you.
Is that something we could agree on?
I think so. I just have a question, and this is more of a building question for the, I guess, the 3 or 4 steps, whatever it is, to get down to the ground level. I'm saying you're gonna need some steps coming up the house, even for a patio going down. Do you need footers for those?
I believe there was a detail shown for that, right?
Right. So those steps are already existing. They come down to the grass. Or I mean, I guess they come down to a patio or like a platform, but it's a 3 by 3 standard platform.
But we don't need.
They're already there.
We're not digging down further.
There's no post going into the ground
Right.
at the bottom of the steps,
Right.
right?
Right. That's right.
That's what I was getting at.
That's right. Yeah, these aren't concrete steps.
I have to say, I don't know that I agree with that. Putting pavers over an existing storm line
I
that
agree.
needs to be maintained or used. We don't do it. We've never done it in this town over an easement or anything. I don't suggest we do it
I
today.
agree 100%. I think it should stay the way it was approved originally.
I mean, and to me, there's reasons why they didn't approve it originally.
Correct.
They was specifically left out of those properties, and I don't think we should go back on it at this point.
I agree.
And I want to jump on that. None of these have been built. This isn't a situation where someone has walked out their back door and said, wow, this 10 by 10 deck that I built is just not enough. I cannot live with this. I need something bigger. There's nothing there now. So what is the push to expand beyond what was originally approved after many hours of arduous discussion with the original board that approved this back in October of 2019?
De minimis impact or not on flooding, I just think you keep adding up de minimis impact after de minimis impact and you have a very large significant impact.
I'm in agreement with you guys.
Does anybody see any part of this application they want to advance?
No. I'd like to make a resolution for a
Motion?
motion for a negative resolution? Is that?
Got it.
Thank you.
I'll second.
Mayor Napolitani,
Yes.
Mr. DeFilia,
For a negative,
negative.
yes.
Mr. DeGenero,
Yes.
Mr. DeLoma,
Yes.
Mr. Chimora,
Yes.
Ms. Littman,
Yes.
Mr. Manel,
Yes.
Vice Chairman Palutis,
Yes.
Chairman Fuller.
Yes. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, seeing we have no other business, our next regularly scheduled planning board meeting is August 20th, 2026. Motion to adjourn.
Motion adjourned.
Make a motion.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you, everyone. Have a good night.